Welcome back to the show. Our first guest is Roxanne Passarella, President and CEO of Boardwalk Resorts. Roxanne, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Listen, I'm so glad you're here. I know we've talked about this for a little while now, whether it's the radio show or the TV show here we're doing at Stockton University. Before we get into Boardwalk Resorts, let's talk about you a little bit. A leader, but let's go back to the childhood, upbringing, and whatnot. Tell our viewers.
Okay, a little about me growing up, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I am from a small town. It's Waterford Township. It's right on the outskirts of Hamilton, which I know you're familiar with. I grew up in a great family. I have two older brothers, and my mom and dad. So my mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was an auto mechanic who in later years created his own business. So it was, doing well. But I always say that, both of my parents did not graduate high school. So, and I think I was the first member of my family to graduate from college and maybe the only to graduate from law school. So proud of that accomplishment. But really good people, hardworking, blue-collar family. And I say all the time, I think that's one of my greatest assets because I learned at an early age how to deal with a lot of different types of people. I learned the value of hard work by watching it happen every day in my household. And I learned, I grew up in an environment with a lot of love. So all those things together gave me a level of confidence that I feel like, I still carry today.
And you do, and I can relate. Father, third grade education,
Third
grade, raised 8 kids. Well, here's my grandfather and my dad's Puerto Rico. He gets in trouble in school, and third grade gets. My dad has to go, or my grandfather has to go meet the teacher back in the day. Comes home, gets smacked in the head or whatever they did back then, right? Yeah, and my grandfather says to my dad, "You either go to work or you go to school."
Yep.
Third grade education, third grade, he says, "I'll go to work." And how crazy as things are, my grandfather says, "Okay."
Yep.
So,
Yep.
But your point, hard work, and that's what I wanted to touch on. I mean, I was doing some little homework on you, and we've talked before.
Yeah.
That's and here we are at Stockton University, you're an alum.
It is, yes.
The
Very
hard
proud
work
of that.
pays off. I mean, just touch on that a little bit. Nothing's given to you, right?
No. Still to this day, nothing's been given to me. So like you said, I went to Stockton. I'm very proud of that. I got into a lot of schools and just knew that my parents could not afford to send me. So, Stockton was certainly an option. Back then, it wasn't a university. It was a smaller school. And, when you're that young and you think the world is ahead of you and you want to go live somewhere else, because this is very close to my home, I wasn't overly thrilled at first, but I realized looking back now that it's one of the best moves I ever made. The people here are amazing. And I didn't realize the value of local connections back then, but I certainly do now. So, I had a full circle moment one evening when I was at a meeting for one of the boards that I'm on at Stockton. I'm on many. And it was my name sort of written on a little nameplate. And I thought to myself, how full circle is this? Because the last time I was in this particular room that the meeting was being held in, I was walking in wondering if I had enough money in my checking account to pay for my final semester and literally sweating it. Right. And walking into the room as then, a member of the board and having had some success in my life was humbling.
And how about that? And I know I see the smile on your face, and I know you say it humbly. Stockton University Foundation of Board of Directors, maybe one of them that you're on the board of.
Yep,
but it's
yep.
very cool, like you said. It's that
cool.
moment where you're saying, "Wow, you know what?" Like you just said, made it. You know what I mean? And that being said, we're going to lead into the next question. So you do a lot of work, and we're going to touch on your business, of course. But empowerment through information, empowerment of women, leaders, like a lot. And I'm going to tell you something, Roxanne. Some women, some guys, whatever, they like to use the word boss. I call them leaders. You're a leader, and whether it's with the women or overall in the business world. But tell to us about the women and how you involved in some of those organizations.
Would love to. Yeah. This is one of my favorite topics. So I don't like to call myself a boss. Like you said, a leader is a better word because I always say I am working with the people that are with me. I don't want to be at the helm sort of barking orders. I always say this is democracy. But, there always has to be one person with the strength to make a decision. There has to be. But, I love being involved, empowering all people. Empowering young women just happens to be something near and dear to my heart. I was one of the founding members of the Women's Foundation at Stockton. And if any students are listening to this, they should definitely look into that. And it's the Stockton Women's Leadership Council. And it is really an amazing group of women. I can't even tell you, the list is on and on about how just unbelievable these women are. But I love to do it because I feel like in my life, many people have empowered me. And, I say all the time, life is about perspective. And I didn't have a huge perspective growing up, lived in like a little town in a little home and had a very little, like a small life in terms of like where I traveled to. I didn't go many places. But I met some people along the way that had a bigger scope and they shared it with me. And I think when that happens, you want more, you desire more. And you feel like, maybe there's something more out there for you. So I just like young women to see that I was where they are once, and I had big dreams. And I feel like what those dreams were, I've accomplished, and it can happen for all of us. I didn't grow up with any type of silver spoon or just good, hardworking parents that taught me how to go get it.
And you talk to me when I hear you talking right now, the gratitude, giving it back.
Grateful.
The folks have to go. Whether it's young men, women, or whomever, whatever age it may be, you got to be able to get it, go out, seek it. And this wasn't part of the question, but I feel a lot of what you're talking about too is being in the right place. Not so much at the right time, but getting out there, networking, telling people, introducing
1000%.
yourself. Tell them how important that is just to walk up to somebody and introduce
So
yourself
important.
to them.
So, now my circle is a lot bigger, and I feel like my friends joke with me. They're like, if you ever want to get a hold of anybody, just ask Roxanne. How do you have so many friends is the question. Well, I'm a really good friend. But I think, so once your circle gets bigger, your network gets bigger, you bring people in, you share it with other people. One of the most valuable and important things for me is that I get to do this and my 11-year-old daughter gets to watch. So every day she gets to see her mom do what I love and what I'm passionate about and, do it in an arena that there aren't very many women. And she's already a strong and, confident little girl, which is amazing. So I get to, everything I do, every move I make, so to speak, I think, what would she think about that?
Right. And it's so important. I mean, I know in my little world too, what I do is I always wanted to, I worked in the Department of Public Safety, fancy name for the jail, for 25 years. And I was kind of like pushed away from everybody. I was kind of like, I don't want to go in crowd, because it was so loud, noisy. But I always realized that if we wanted to get involved, whether it was volunteering on different boards, radio, or what we're doing here on TV, you got to talk to somebody. And not that I didn't mind talking, but it was usually to my friends.
Yep.
And then once we started networking, which I didn't come from that world neither, I just felt, you got to go up and push yourself. So I always encourage, whether it's my nieces, nephews, some of the viewers here, to get on out there and just talk and meet people and find where these events, what you love. I mean, if you want to be a great meatball maker, you get around meatball makers. And
so right.
It's that way. So listen, let's talk a little bit about your business now, what you're doing and what's going on there, the properties and the excitement. And take us a little bit back. I know we're out of COVID, sort of, but take us a little bit through that too, because I know that couldn't have been an easy task.
No. So I'll take you all the way back. I started at this company that I now own, it had to be 21 or so years ago. Now you all know how old I am. You can guess
22.
the me. Yeah, 23. But I started there doing some legal work straight out of law school and just thought this would be a nice pit stop for me until I get to where I'm going. And here I am. This is like my first real job. And I purchased the company from my then mentor in 2018. So like you said, that was a lot. It was hard work beyond, like, I don't even think I could explain to you how hard I worked. Looking back now, I don't even think I could do it again. That's how hard it was. And in the meantime, having 3 children. So I call it the blackout period. I don't even know, like I don't remember half of it. But, you know, I was able to do it and get there. And then, you know, eventually it came all sort of full circle and good things all came to fruition. And I was able to, you know, see it through. But that's something, you know, that I put a lot of value onto and emphasis on, is that in today's world, a lot of people think, you know, it happens so fast, you know, and to them, a long time is a year, especially the younger generation.
Right.
It took me
overnight
20
success, right? Yeah,
years.
overnight, yeah.
There's nothing overnight.
Right.
There's no, you have to, the stairs, you know? And wow, what a journey. But, you know, looking back, I learned a lot. And, you know, sitting here today, I think it's what makes me so grateful. Right. Because I think if I was handed it, I don't think I would feel that way.
You wouldn't appreciate it and be that way.
Yeah.
So tell our viewers where they're at. We only have a few minutes left, and how they can access your properties and whatnot.
Perfect. We are formerly Fantasy Resorts, now Boardwalk Resorts. When my partner and I bought the company, we wanted to rebrand just to give it a new, fresh feel. We are in Atlantic City, 2 hotels, the Flagship Resort and the Atlantic Palace, and then 1 in Brigantine, La Samana. I think you're going to run our website information, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So great properties. I'll give you just a quickie on each. The Flagship is a very family-oriented resort. It has an indoor pool. It has an arcade, really fun things, sort of all-inclusive, good time. The Atlantic Palace, we always say, is like the Fifth Avenue. Because it's located right in the middle of everything. Right. So you walk out the front door, you're right on the boardwalk. And La Samana, if you want a great beach vacation, I think we're 2 blocks from the beach, and we are all suites, so kitchens, living rooms. We're the only resort, I think, in Atlantic City that has balconies.
I believe you are.
Yeah, beautiful views. So yeah.
Boardwalk Resorts, correct?
Yep,
Boardwalk Resorts. Listen, and those views, I'm telling you, I'm looking at you, telling you, from the Flagship, and like you said, the Atlantic Club and La Samana, but I'm a fan of the Flagship. Are incredible. I mean, some of the most beautiful is with that Boardwalk done a few years back. So listen, we're so glad that you joined us. This won't be the last or the first time that you're going to be here. We're going to have you back, and we're going to talk some more about the city and where we see it going. So we'll catch you in a little bit.
Yep.
Roxanne, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Folks, stay right where you're at. We'll be right back with our next guest.